Avengers edit where he like one of the Infinity Stones is missing, and Thanos looks up, and it's Tuco, and he's like, "Woo!" And he like snorts the Infinity Stone.
Because I've maybe watched 3 episodes of Breaking Bad in my life, but
It's when he tries Walter White's meth.
Tuco is one of the first guys he tries to do big business deals with.
Correct. He's the first like drug lord. He does
getting in there with his product.
Yeah, trauma product.
I just remember I loved that it was like episode 2 where he's like, we make a consistent and stable product, and Jesse's like, we're making drugs, dude. What are you talking about? He's like, we need good customers.
Is this the lowest rated Alien movie?
I think so. I don't know how good Alien 3 was.
No, Alien 3 is just above it.
Not on Rotten Tomatoes, it's not.
Oh, on IMDb it is.
Oh, God.
Alien versus Predator is the lowest.
Well, however you want to start this, we could just say welcome to Nostalgia Land right now if you want.
Welcome back to Nostalgia Land. Strap in.
We're going for a ride.
Last week we covered the not so good one. This week we're covering the crap one.
Yeah, this is a bad one.
Really? You guys didn't like this one?
This one was tough to get through because I felt like halfway through the movie, every time I tried to go back and rewatch a scene, I was just going, what the hell's going on?
Is it okay? Was it just the continuity of
it?
The
continuity's weird.
Yeah, I agree.
I get what they were going for, but I think they just missed the mark.
Yeah.
Written by Joss Whedon.
Poor guy. Yeah, great guy.
And in interviews later, he said that the directors went like a totally different way with his script than he intended. He intended it to be more Joss Whedon-esque, humorous and light. It was kind of like supposed to be a little bit of a funny take,
a little lighthearted
on Alien Resurrection. Welcome to it.
Funny take on the xenomorphs. They kill you with their face.
Well, then they do that. Hello, my baby.
Yeah.
Hello, my
Seriously.
honey.
From
Hello. Spaceballs. That's what I was thinking. Well, I had a hard time. We started this, and I said Alien Resurrection because I thought Alien Resurrection was the third one. And
no, that's Alien to the third power.
Aliens 3.
Yeah, but the way that they wrote the title screen for that, it looks like it's Alien cubed.
Well, because first of all, the first one is legendary in film.
First two.
It's like the first time a female was like the big action hero lead, I think.
And it is a James. No, it's not James.
James Cameron.
It was James Cameron. The first one, Alien, which the whole movie is just like Jaws. It's like the scary sense about it is that it's happening.
You rarely see it.
And when you do,
and it's one alien against a ship full of people.
Yeah,
slowly picking them off, slowly killing them.
Yeah,
and then you get the second movie, which is the Space Marines,
aliens
getting ready to rock and roll against the aliens. And that's an awesome movie as well. Also done by James Cameron. And he's getting ready to do, I believe it's done by James Cameron, the second movie. He was getting ready to do the third one. He was all gearing up to do a third movie.
Yeah.
And he got wind of an Alien vs. Predator and closed the book on that and said, really? We're done. Yep, because he didn't like the idea of pitting to the properties within the two franchises against each other, and he just didn't think it would work.
It was James Cameron.
He was right. I think if he did it, it would have worked.
I mean, it depends, dude. That's a tough.
I think I'm with him on that. Actually, I feel like
James Cameron, probably.
You walked away from a challenge, and now we know your limit.
Well, I don't think they were going with him. I think he was preparing for a third movie, like the close to the trilogy.
Okay, because these alien movies are like Shrek for a generation. It's like how Shrek is to us. That's how alien movies are to someone in the 70s.
It was really funny too because I was watching like some reviewer talking about all the alien movies, and he was saying how the first movie is traditional horror where the one against them and they're dying slowly. The second one is more of like a fight between the Space Marines and the aliens, and the third movie, and he was saying how it was not well received, but it's a great movie in the sense that this and that and this and that. Okay. And then every other reviewer that I watched was like, The first one's amazing. The second one's really good. The third one is terrible. Like, oh, okay. All right.
And then it goes downhill for a while, and then we get Prometheus, and we get this new kind of revamp of the whole
I haven't
series.
seen
It's a
the
prequel.
new
Prometheus is a prequel.
Yeah, which I have to say are pretty good. It's
not
they're
horrible.
Not horrible, but they're pretty good. They do like the first one.
Is that Michael? Is that James Cameron again?
James Cameron? Yeah. Ooh, let's look that
Oh,
up.
yeah?
I think it might be. Yeah.
Yeah. While he looks that up, this
Yeah.
movie takes place. What is it?
200 years.
2 centuries
200 years,
after
yeah.
after Aliens.
Yeah, 200 years after Ripley dies in the third movie.
Spoilers.
But yeah, spoilers for a movie from like 1989.
86. Excuse me.
So these scientists get the bright idea to clone Ripley. Not only do they get the idea to clone Ripley, but to clone the xenomorph and try to crossbreed
because-
them with each other.
Well, no, because
she got
she was pregnant with an alien.
Yeah.
the
Like
face.
a queen or something.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the face hugger
In
that
the
got
third
her.
movie.
Yes, I had to look this up. I had to look because I was like, they're talking about if she died, and then I discovered, oh wait, there's a third one between this one and the second one, and so I was like, there's a whole movie that I haven't seen yet, where she's like on an alien planet that's also a penitentiary or something like that,
Yeah.
and it has some good moments I saw from clips. So yeah, you were saying she got impregnated somehow and she died.
Right.
She sacrificed
She
herself.
she throws herself into fire.
Yeah.
And dies.
She does the old. She does the old Terminator.
the little thumb going up.
That's like one of my favorite parts of that movie.
Oh well, like this, the Alien movies. This was one of those ones that, like, for me, would always pop up like late at night, like on Superstation, like TNT, and I always walked in at the same part, which is when they're all at dinner, and the guy suddenly like has heart pain. They think he's choking, and then he flops on the table, and the thing comes out of his chest.
The
and-
face hugger bursts out of his chest.
and it runs away, and that traumatized me. And then they came out with a ride
At Disney World. That's the one I got excited in the Predator episode because you were like, you talked about Disney World, and I was like, wrong movie. It's crazy to me to think that in the Magic Kingdom they had a ride based on Alien.
Yeah,
And it was creepy.
so scary.
It's where
dude.
it was in Tomorrowland where the Stitch ride was that is now gone.
Oh no, you were talking about two different rides. Two
Really?
different rides. Yeah, there's the Great Movie Ride at MGM.
No. Yeah, I'm talking about like the actual Alien ride.
Oh, okay, but was it a xenomorph?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was an actual it was based on the movie Alien.
Oh my gosh. okay.
So it was like, you remember how like Honey, I Shrunk the Kid was in Epcot, where like the
Yes.
mice would get on the floor and it would like blow air to make it feel like that's how this ride was.
yes,
Like
I think I wrote
you
it.
would hear it. Like it was a lot like the first movie where there's a lot of alluding to the xenomorph, but you never see it.
Yeah.
And it would do things like you would hear it breathing and you would feel like water on the back of your neck, like it was following you. And then at the very end, you saw like the big animatronic xenomorph that they
Yeah.
had. And it was like, it's creepy, man.
Yeah, dude. I remember going on that and not being okay. And I think a lot of people went on it and were like, why
Yeah.
are we strapped in so tight to this chair?
Yeah, because it like came over. I never went on it, but my wife remembers it vividly.
Yeah. We
And
all have trauma. We can talk
It like
about.
came over your head and like strapped you down.
Yes, it
and
did.
like pinned you. I guess it's to add to the suspense. If you're claustrophobic, you could
Don't
not
go
have
on
rode that ride.
It is mostly in the dark. Yeah, but they
Well, it's
they
gone
revamped
now.
it. They
They made it
gone.
Stitch, and
was
now that's
Stitch,
gone.
And now it's
Maybe
no
they'll
longer
bring it
there.
back. Bring
Yeah.
it back.
But-
Bring it back.
The other one was that it was the Great Movie Ride
And
at MGM. And
Predator
they had,
and Alien are both in that.
and they had a xenomorph head come down. Like you would go on this slow freaking tram.
And then
And you would see Ripley with her flamethrower gun, and she's kind of like rocking back and forth like any animatronic would do. And then you just going slower and slower and slower, and then all the dry ice gets dumped on you, and the xenomorph head comes out, and it's hissing and it's doing the
and you
mouth
get
thing.
the smaller mouth comes out.
Yeah, dude, and that was the other trauma of my childhood. But I loved that ride. I couldn't.
I have no idea what we talked about after that.
I do.
Oh, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We had a technical glitch here. I don't know what exactly happened. Just looked over and the board was not recording. So we were talking about the great movie ride and how the giant xenomorph alien head at Disney World.
The most magical place.
Used to come and try to eat your brain.
Well,
and that's,
in their defense, the Magic Kingdom one can't defend
do
that.
Yeah.
The one that was technically MGM Studios, so maybe some of the scenes were shot there.
It wasn't an MGM production.
Yeah, so you can get away with that.
Yeah.
However, that's been your Disney update. But cut
So we're
back to the
talking about
movie.
surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
So the first scene of the movie is you open with the scientists on the ship they clone Ripley because they want the xenomorph.
Yeah.
They want to recreate the xenomorph, which okay, why?
Yeah.
You know this thing that like kills a bunch of people? We want that.
Yeah, just bring it on back. You know, I feel like the first couple of times we did it, we just weren't careful enough. We just didn't do the right things.
Terminator said that too.
Yeah.
But so they cut Ripley's chest open because what'd you say about the xenomorph?
It likes to live right next to your heart,
Right in the center.
right there.
Home is where the heart.
Yeah, it wants to know all your feels. Wants to be warm.
It's a very emotional creature.
Yeah.
But
actually.
they get the xenomorph. They get the little baby xenomorph out, and
Now, is that the queen? That's the queen.
that's the queen.
It's
Yeah.
the queen xenomorph.
They
Yeah.
don't expect Ripley to survive or clone Ripley to survive the procedure, but she does.
Yeah.
And the guy's just like, close her up.
Yeah. The one guy doesn't care, and
No.
the weirdo scientist played. Who's that plays him?
He is just excited about any specimen that comes onto this ship,
Yeah.
man. He's just like, oh, look at it. It's alive.
Oh, I can't remember the
it's
guy's
so
name.
beautiful. It's gorgeous. I just want to love
I feel
it.
like that's accurate
Brad
to.
Dourif.
He just kept trying to make out with
Yeah.
everything. I'm going to tell you.
Oh,
Just-
dude,
he
we'll
had
get to that
vibe.
scene later.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness
He just had
gracious,
this vibe.
So
he
they
says that she's doing well, and what about the patient's health? She's excellent. All right, close her up.
Yeah, they were like, fine, keep her.
crap
Yeah, and then she ends up in the weirdest cell.
where it's
Yeah.
like a
Ever.
skylight cell.
Yeah, it's very strange,
I
very
don't-
weird.
Some of
And
the
she's in a
directions,
cheese
yeah.
sack.
Yeah, what is that? It's like what they put. It's like what they put John Boyega's character in Star Wars when he in the Last Jedi when he wakes up and he's in like that giant condom.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
It's for everyone's protection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
We should have left him in that
I think
jacket.
it
Finn.
was-
That's his name. His
Finn,
name's
yeah.
Finn.
I think it was to represent her rebirth.
Yeah.
And that's what they were
Sure.
going with. But the
Good job,
art
Joss.
direction, yeah. The art direction for this cell that she's in is a little kooky.
Creepy?
Yeah, kooky and
Well,
it's
the-
creepy.
yeah. Everybody on this ship is creepy.
Yeah. It's not a normal
But-
person in sight.
Exactly. But
It's a very bizarre situation.
then
we're
you
working
cut
with.
to her doing regular tasks, trying to talk to the scientist.
Yeah.
They're showing her cards, and she's like, hand. And
Yeah.
she's like, close, glove.
Yeah.
She's
Why
like,
would you
glove.
correct it? Why would you correct if like you've seen what came out of this person?
But she's a neural net processor, learning computer. No, she's progressing
Yeah.
faster than they're anticipating. She's
Okay.
basically
well, and
functioning.
her chest wound where they cut her heals.
like
it's healing
that.
like that.
It's been 2 days, and
yeah.
there's like no scar tissue.
yeah.
So she's a hybrid. She's
well,
like,
you got can't move on beyond. So fork, fuck. Like what?
just so they get that R rating.
Like what in the world? There's a lot of like moments in this movie where it's like, what were you thinking? And then you realize that the director was French, and you're like,
I
yeah.
get it. Salmon skin rolls.
It's fork. Fuck.
Yeah, fuck. Okay.
And he
The
looks
way
at
you
her
said
like,
that.
and he looks at her like,
Oh man.
No.
Yeah.
No.
He looks at her like we do. Like what?
Fork.
What?
yeah, because he's only attracted to the xenomorph.
Yeah.
He's all about it.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We'll get there.
Honestly, if I had to say if there's a star, the real star of this movie, it's that guy.
I feel like
He's so good.
for this movie we should just get through the whole plot synopsis and then go back to talk about stuff like that.
Okay.
We just gotta fumble our way through. It's kind of what we do.
Plot synopsis: it gets loose, and they're
Yeah.
trying to get away.
Well, and then
The
you
end.
then you
Like,
meet
Well,
the
the plot synopsis is these people are idiots expecting to keep xenomorphs in cages.
yeah.
and breed them for what? To sell them to people?
It's like they know these things exist. They've heard stories, I'm sure. They
I'm sure
keep building shit out of metal. like and expecting a different outcome.
Yeah.
And it's like you could have. Is there no technology today to build an acid-proof cell cage thing?
Not that I know of.
I have no idea what would keep that back. But anyway,
Gotta ask Walter White.
yeah.
And Tuco.
Gotta
want
get
the-
that plastic
You want
rated
the tub,
to the
yeah, with the number 7 on
Yeah.
it, not the number 3.
You idiot, Jesse. I told you to make it plastic.
God, yeah.
Come on, Mr. White.
Oh man. So where do you want to pick up? So that's, I mean, synopsis is
So you meet
Try to
the
escape.
pirate crew who
Yeah.
they're going onto this vessel because they're doing like black market arms deals with the general who's
Yeah.
on the
yeah,
Well, they're bringing the people.
the bodies.
They're bringing bodies
Yeah.
to them.
Oh, that's
that
right.
they've pirated off of other ships. These people that are in cryosleep that
I
are
mean-
supposed to be, you
Like
know,
food
jumping
for the-
to the future, like to go to different planets, and they're in cryosleep in the transit.
Yeah.
And when these people wake up, they're face to face with a xenomorph egg. And as
Face
it's
hugger.
opening,
Yeah.
and the face hugger shoots out and latches onto them as soon as they wake up from their cryosleep.
That's the
This movie has
Like-
talk about
moments-
sleep paralysis.
Good
Yeah.
morning.
This movie had
Rise
some
and shine.
moments where I was like, dude, that's even still too dark for me. This is harsh, dude. But I mean, so the pirate crew, though, I have to say, I didn't realize it until I watched it. Was Ron Perlman and the guy in the chair, which I gotta look it up.
It's Hellboy, the bad guy from The Crow,
Yeah,
Winona
Yeah.
Ryder,
yeah.
Our wet noodle.
But then, oh yeah, Winona. But
our wet robot.
Ron Perlman was in a movie with the guy who's in the chair. I'll find his name in a moment. But
Is it Hellboy?
It was no. It was I think in the 80s. It was called like Children
Of the Corn?
Dreams, or like The Lost City of Dreams or something like that. I gotta look it up. But
Sounds like a winner.
it was it's one of those really weird, like it's pretty artsy kind of movie, and it's dark.
Is it the same director?
Probably actually.
The
yeah.
Frenchman?
Well, like, I mean, like, you know how like how you know Adam Sandler has his crew.
Yeah.
I feel like that's who
Ron
these two
Perlman's
is.
got
Ron
his.
Perlman and his, because I gotta say, in terms of like actor, like who they picked, who they cast for this movie, everyone has a really interesting face. Like each of these faces are unique.
Well, they scar him up and stuff.
yeah, and they're rememberable. Like each one of them. So I enjoyed who they went with. So what are you doing? What? I don't
Rememberable.
rememberable.
just the way
Did I say that?
Memorable.
we both just
Yeah. Just looked at each other and kept it going.
I appreciate Dominic Pinon.
Pinon.
He's a French
sounds like a
dude.
wine.
Yeah. So
I'll have a glass of Pinot.
Pinon, and then Ron
Did I hit
Perlman.
it?
Man, I gotta say, I'll find out what he's in.
He's in
Anyways,
Hellboy.
He's in Hell. No, not Ron Perlman. Dominic Pinon. You know what, guys? I'm done with you. Forget it. This episode's over.
Chalk
You
it.
did this to
Screw
yourself.
you guys. I'm going home.
Anyway, you meet the pirate crew. They bring the people to basically create more xenomorphs because when the face hugger,
Did you notice that
Does
when
that-
the pirates arrive to the ship, what they say? They said, "What's your call sign?" And the guy says, EATME.
ME,
Yeah. Me. Little stabs, little jokes. Here
And then
or
he
there.
says, "Don't slow down until 600 meters."
Yeah, let's give him a
Give him
scare.
a scare. Yeah, it's,
Maybe that's what Josh Whedon was trying to. That
Good
guy's
way-
voice is great.
good
though.
way to ingratiate to the guy who's going to pay you for this stuff is to freak them out.
Oh, they are pirates.
Yeah, they are.
There's the
pirates.
weird scene where Ron Perlman's character drops the knife into the dude's leg.
Because he's a cripple and he can't feel it.
target practice.
Yeah, but he still bleeds, right? Like,
Well,
that's like-
and the weirdest part of that scene is why are they making monkey noises?
yeah. Well,
Ron
he
Perlman,
does look like a gorilla.
the dialogue
dude.
he makes to start this movie is he's just like, I'm like, what the? Is this Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, I mean, Ron Perlman, he's got like a gorilla looking face, dude. Like, I mean, but that's why I love Ron. I mean, that's why he's so good. Is he?
That's why his
he's
Hellboy's the best.
character face. Yeah, it is. His Hellboy is the best.
Hell yeah, it
I
is.
agree. Yeah.
But anyway, you meet the pirate crew. They come on the ship. The general agrees to give them room and board, basically.
Yeah.
Cut to Ripley playing basketball.
Oh my god, this scene.
Shooting some hoops, eh?
I guess part of her
Oh my
learning
God, this
process
scene.
was to be a WNBA All-Star.
Well, they're trying to figure out, well, what else can she do? We got to make some money
It's
back
like
here anyway.
Either she's gonna rape everybody or she's gonna be really good at basketball. Let's do both.
Oh
Too
my
bad.
goodness.
Too
You
fun.
found it. You found the best character
disgusting.
arc.
Although, if you had to pick a sport for Sigourney Weaver,
It was
basketball.
It was
She's
basketball.
6 feet tall.
she's
Her
gigantic.
fingers are like 5 feet tall.
It's like the Pan's Labyrinth
Yeah.
fingers.
It's
like,
Oh, the one
crazy.
with the eyes up like that, where he's doing this all the time.
It's crazy how large her hands are and how big, how long her fingers are.
I gotta say, well, what other sport would she be in there? I mean, like if that
Pickleball.
wouldn't, like if she's in there playing like ping
Pickleball.
pong. Oh, pickleball, or I was thinking ping pong. She's just like against the wall, like Forrest Gump.
She's playing a hologram of Forrest Gump. It's a clone of Forrest Gump with like 3,286 on
Yeah,
it.
that's right. I gotta go pay.
Yeah, then Ron Perlman comes in, starts telling her to give them the ball, and
Yeah, why?
then there's
dude?
this bizarre scene with her and Ron Perlman
Where they're like flirting with each other, but not really.
Yeah, and she has like this lack of emotion, which I hear is what brought Sigourney back for this movie was
She can play a
she read
robot.
the script, and basically the story line is that when they cloned her, the genes mixed between the queen alien and her DNA.
Yeah.
And so she's like kind of part alien, part person.
And she has like
And-
super strength.
Yeah,
and
she has like all
She
these
can
weird,
run really fast.
animalistic, like
Yeah, she's
senses.
super sexual.
Yeah.
Like insanely sexual.
When she's basically Wolverine.
That
Like
girl-
she can smell
I
them.
mean, girl sniffing everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody gets within a foot of her. She's like,
Yeah, and she wants to. She's like Joe Biden.
Sniffy Joe. Sniffy Joe.
Sigourney sniffs a lot.
Sigourney sniffs a lot.
Oh, you smell like my daughter.
Ripe Ridley.
Oh, man. Yeah. There's just a little. I think I could have taken maybe 20% less sniffing in
Yeah.
this movie. Just,
I think just in life,
Anyway.
turn it down a little bit.
unless you guys are sexually involved with each other, you shouldn't be sniffing on people.
No.
You
yeah.
get-
Just when you give them a hug and take a deep breath, don't let them know it's a sniff.
You get the scene where she kicks the crap out of everybody in that room.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Again,
Well,
for
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
She just beats up Ron Perlman for
And-
being Ron Perlman.
And the
Yeah.
the
Right,
black guy.
and then the
Christy.
Christy
Yeah.
comes with the
Hits her in the
barbell
face
and hits
with a
her in the
barbell.
face, and
she just kind of like,
she bleeds from her nose, and then she wipes the blood and throws it on the ground. Then they leave the room. The guards, I think, come in. No, she just leaves and she shoots So now she's cloned. She's part alien queen and part Harlem Globetrotter. 'Cause
she's
just
in Dude Perfect.
It's back over.
She's
her
in
head.
Dude
Like,
Perfect.
what in the hell? So she leaves the room, and then
But she did that for real. Did you know that?
that's crazy.
She threw the basketball over her shoulder, nothing but net, and and people are like, "Yeah, that's CGI," or they had a second basketball on the top. No, that was actually she
Nice.
threw it.
Props to
herself.
Sigourney Weaver. That's
Hey,
sick.
she's a badass.
Oh,
Sigourney
she's
Weaver's a
amazing.
badass.
Yeah,
But she, so she leaves, and then it cuts back to the blood like a full minute and a half later,
Wow.
been a
and then
while.
it's like, and we're acid. Like, wait, what?
I
innards
get
are
it. They're
acid.
trying to foreshadow the
Right, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that was
You
a
coulda-
long time.
you could have done it right away.
Yeah, you could have had it like start bubbling and then cut back later.
They
and
had
it's
a whole-
still
And there's
Long
just a hole.
conversation.
No, there's just a hole in the floor
Yeah,
when you
something.
come back
Yeah.
later.
They had a whole conversation between when they showed, "Oh, that's what it's doing," and that.
But-
yeah,
Then the crew gets a little rowdy because Ron Perlman has alcohol,
yeah.
and
Which that whole scene where they come onto the ship and they're being
yeah,
scanned
Scanned.
by the guards
and
is
they
really
don't-
awkward and
they
weird.
don't find the wrist guns
no,
that
in-
are
He keeps
like
his-
attached to him.
Oh
'Cause
no,
he
they
keeps his
do. They
arms
do. Because they're like, drop it, and he's like, I can't.
they're attached.
No, that's later.
Oh, that's later. That's right.
in the basketball.
Perhaps later.
yeah, perhaps later.
Yeah, the guards come in and they tell them to drop their guns, and the guy's like, I can't.
Yeah.
They're attached.
That's later though.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's like a android.
But
But
no,
they
there's
find-
just like a system on him, so he can't so he could shoot him out and hold him.
Yeah.
But
And when you first see them, he's practicing that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, hey, like
This is my
Ezio
thing.
in Assassin's Creed. Like,
yeah, exactly. You gotta get good with it.
This is what I do.
Gotta get good with it. But
Brought me on the screw to do two things: steal people, and do this.
get them all out of people.
hoo ha boy.
He's basically Deadshot.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's the dead shot of the pirate crew.
But then he shows them what he's got, Ron Perlman, and they're like totally fine with him bringing this random canteen of crap onto their boat, onto their ship. Might as well be a
On their
boat.
boat.
Might as well be
Space
a boat.
boat. It's an airboat.
It's a space boat. But
They start drinking in the mess hall with
Winona Ryder,
With Winona.
Christy, and Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
and she basically spills alcohol to get thrown out. When
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she could have just
Gotten up and left.
stood up and left.
Yeah. I don't think anyone was like carrying,
And they're
"Where are you
watching like
going?"
like the Home Shopping Network for weapons. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, look at this karambit knife. And they're like, it's a good show.
It was like the gutter blade.
Jackhawk
3000.
5000.
Yeah, the
available,
Jackhawk.
available at Walmart.
I like the gutter blade 3000.
So she walks out and has like DNA on a
Yeah,
key
well,
ring.
let's back it up here a little bit because when we first meet the general on the ship,
He wants
who's
them to
played
kill
by
Ripley.
the same guy who plays Tully,
It's Tully.
from Adam Sandler's
And he's
so many
also,
different movies.
to tie it to last week, him and Gary Busey are Rookie of the Year. So
That's
we're
right.
just tying movies together.
This was their year. This was their era right here.
He's pissed off that they're keeping Ripley alive because she has memories, and he's like, she has memories.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it was in the genetic code. She's, we can't do anything about
They
that.
said it was a gift.
And he's saying like, kill it. Like, kill it. Like, we don't need you know what happened the last time? She killed herself she sacrificed herself to stop these, to kill them. Why would we keep her alive? She'll just do it again.
yeah.
And then he goes to leave the room or come into his room, and he has to like,
Yeah, you have to like give
Yeah,
a
you
breath
have to
sample.
breathe
What
on
the
everything.
And it didn't work the first
yeah, and
time.
then he's like, oh, okay. And then it works. Hello, General, blah, blah, blah. And it's Father.
Father's
And
the
it's
name of
It's
the-
interesting because the first movie, the computer is Mother.
Oh yes. Yeah. Yeah. The
Now
computer's
the-
mother. Yeah.
Now the computer in this satirical piece of garbage is Father.
Father.
Father, help.
It should have been a moment like that in this movie.
And then,
Father,
so
help.
then Sigourney
Basically,
Weaver...
there is. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense too because they're they're drinking a lot of this crap that
Mead.
he has, and she steps out into the hallway and she's now sober.
Yeah. She
And
shakes it off immediately. She's
It's like, wait a
no.
minute,
She's
she was
trying
wasted.
to drink it with boxing gloves on, which is like the dumbest crap
most
ever.
random
Well, it's like
thing.
things you would do if you were wasted.
It's
Yeah.
true.
That's the whole thing.
And I feel like that's the lightheartedness Josh Whedon was trying to bring to the script.
What if you had her like in boxing gloves trying to drink booze?
Yeah.
Well, what about? And what if we just have to breathe on everything to access
Well,
stuff?
so she
How do you
has
pay
like
for your coffee?
she
on the
has
ship?
like hand sanitizer spray, but it's DNA on
Yeah.
a janitor key ring.
Everybody's
And how do you get like a Banaka vial full of somebody's like misty spit? What is going on?
Misty spit?
Banaka vial.
What is
And
going
it's pressurized. It's like aerosol.
Yeah. When I go,
God.
I don't go.
Is she walking around just sampling
I
everybody?
don't go.
Yeah, exactly.
Because didn't she finally found, she was trying to access the door.
It was
and
the
she
second-
finally
Ripley's cell.
found-
She's trying
Yeah.
to find Ripley's.
She found
trying to
Ripley's
get
cell.
Ripley's
She's
cell.
using that to open it. But does she find
His.
and use the
The
generals?
generals.
How did she get that?
That's
don't
what
know.
I'm saying.
Like what?
Where do you get any of them?
It's never explained.
She had like,
like, are you sleeping
She
and I'm
had a-
above you with a Hoover?
Was I
yes.
sleeping?
And she had like a key ring
I'm
of
like,
them too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
You're
a
like-
janitor key ring of
Yeah.
DNA.
You're
DNA.
you're there going, and I'm there going.
Okay.
No, you just hear while you're sleeping. You just hear, ooh. It's a vacuum
Yeah.
cleaner.
Exactly. It's like
Just
a Dyson.
Dyson someone's face.
He
Dyson
has
for
a
your
CPAP machine, and
That's it,
she's
yeah.
just like opening it and
Everyone-
pressurizing it.
Man, that's
Yeah.
it. Everyone in the
She's got like a
future.
squeegee, little
Snores
tiny squeegee.
and has a CPAP.
Yeah, everyone in the future has apnea and is sleeping with a CPAP. That makes
Hey.
perfect sense.
I feel their pain.
I'm with you. I'm with you. dude.
Anyway, she gets into Ripley's cell and is going there to kill her. So she takes out a knife, and Sigourney Weaver. Ripley wakes up and she's like, "Well, you gonna do it or what?"
Yeah.
And
No
she
emotion.
finds the scar. She goes to stab her in the heart, and she finds the scar from
Yeah.
the surgery. And she's like, "They took it out." And she's like, "Yes." And she's like, "Why?" And Ripley's like, "I don't know."
Bro, you're the one who knew that this thing was in me, knew what ship I was going to be
Yeah.
on, how to get to me.
She's
and
like,
you
we
don't
have-
understand like what they're
You
doing.
have a
with it?
keyring full of Banaka spit.
And then she tells Sigourney Weaver, "We have to stop them." And she's like, "You can't.
Yeah.
They've begun to breed. They'll make more.
Yeah.
They're inevitable."
Yeah,
Thanos-
before that, there's the scene where she's with the scientist and she says, "It's a queen." Yeah, it will grow
Yeah.
and you will die.
Yeah.
Like,
and
and he's
ready
all
for it.
cocky, like,
Yeah.
"No."
No, we built the cells out of metal this time.
So anyway,
no way it's happening again.
and then we get to the scene where they get out, and what happens
well,
is,
They get out.
well,
first,
we got to pump the brakes.
We got to focus on.
We find out that they have 3 xenomorphs
in the same cell.
in one little box, and the creepiest scientist in the entire world.
Oh yeah, here's y'all's favorite
is
scene.
all about having them in this cell. So, you could understand from a scientist perspective, you're very excited about this alien species. And the xenomorphs, which is possibly the coolest the interpretation of an alien ever in film.
Agreed.
They are so badass.
Or the Predator.
They-
The Predator's cool
yeah, but
too.
the xenomorph just looks so awesome.
So scary.
And how it's just constantly like dripping wet and with that like the teeth. The biggest problem that this movie has
It's the liquid nitrogen that they breathe.
is that they show the xenomorph constantly.
Yeah.
And when they're having them move around and like chit chat with each other, and it's just like, oh, dude, you're taking me out of it.
like marionette people.
yeah,
Just like, oh, no.
yeah, they kind of like hop
Yeah,
to
they do.
turn.
Well, they're learning too, apparently.
Yeah.
yeah, but
But you get the creepy scene with the scientist.
The xenomorph gets close to the glass and it's like
Yes.
testing out the glass and hits it with its mouth and he gets all up in there and
Oh my.
he just starts to make out with that like
He just. I mean.
Well, first he
full
starts
out,
like
tonsil hockey on this tongue.
first he starts
on
like
this-
hissing at it,
window.
like trying to communicate with it.
Yeah.
And then the xenomorph headbutts the glass.
And he backs up.
Yeah, it scares
I
him.
feel like he was trying to like from like what I feel like he was trying to say like see if he could be a dominant like entity.
I think what he was trying to do was start a relationship.
He's trying to breathe.
He's trying to see if this could go somewhere.
Oh man, what's a
But he
dating,
has
what's
a-
a dating app? I don't know.
Tinder for-
Tinder. He was
Grindr.
That wasn't working for him. He's like, I'm gonna make me a girl.
I'm gonna go find me a xenomorph.
So he has this red button that releases liquid nitrogen
Yeah.
into the cell,
Yeah,
and the aliens don't like that, obviously.
Right.
it doesn't
So
tickle.
he does it, and he puts his face on the glass again, and the alien doesn't. And he's like, "Oh, you're a quick learner."
Yeah. He like threatens it with the button. Like he just sticks his hand out over the button.
Yeah.
And that
It
alien's
kind of
like
backs up. Like,
So then
yeah.
he comes back to check on the xenomorphs, and you see these 3 xenomorphs, and they're like talking to each other.
That's when they do the weird marionette thing, and then they're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of
and the one's like,
And they turn on that one that's like,
yeah.
and they kill it.
trying to decide which one.
Yeah, like,
what
hey,
are we doing
like,
here?
hey, Skippy, you're dead.
These two are like, that one's small and
Yeah.
a bitch. He's out.
Do you think like
We need your blood.
Do you think that in the script like Josh Whedon originally wrote like subtitles for the aliens? Like
Yeah, probably.
he was like, not me, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
And
No,
the-
please, no. And they're like, you're
And
a
the-
bitch. You're dead.
and-
Need your blood. You're dead.
and
Come
the
on, you're a
alien-
bitch.
Yeah.
Stop calling me a bitch.
The alien that died just went whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, and then they just started stabbing him over and over again with their little mouths, and he gets covered in alien blood, which is acid, and they
And they go like,
floor by floor by
8
floor by floor
floors
by floor by
down.
floor by floor, which is really bad because nothing would stop that, and it would just go right
Reach
through
the
the side
hull.
of the
There would be
ship,
a hole
and there would just be a
eventually.
vacuum.
Yeah, I did think about that, and I think Robot Chicken made a joke about that.
God
where,
bless
he
Robot
just
Chicken.
kept going down through hole after hole after hole.
Well, Rick and Morty makes a joke about that where Morty perfectly drops a lightsaber.
Oh yeah,
And
it
he's
just
like,
keeps going.
He's like, it's gonna burn to the center of the earth and destroy the planet, Morty.
These are
I
the
need to watch
questions.
that show. I've heard that Rick and Morty's awesome.
That show's
These
good.
are the questions. Yeah, it's great that other people are looking back and be like, hold on a second, that shit would have been like something would have started blowing up.
Dude, how do you
that
train
moment.
with a lightsaber, by the way? You're like, oh, God, that was my leg.
I would be the worst
That was
Jedi.
a third Padawan this week.
I would be the absolute worst Jedi.
Dude,
What
you go
have
to
I
like
done?
hook
Yeah.
your lightsaber and you hit the button by accident.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it's
No.
like sticking through.
Yeah.
You're like,
No. Just while they're running, like it's clipped on. My leg, my dick, my dick. Is that what you said?
yes.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Anyway, the alien gets out, so the scientist freaks out and runs into the.
Well, he tries to hit the button.
Just
Like
to be
it's
like,
gone through the hole. He hits the button and then he goes in there to check, and it's like the most obvious. If you've seen any alien movie ever, you're like,
That guy's dead.
oh, so you're the first kill.
oh, it's you. Yeah.
And he looks over, and
Why?
the
Hand.
corniest xenomorph hand on his face like pulls
And
him
he
in.
gets
Like,
pulled
come
in.
on, dude.
Clearly, just a guy with a rubber glove
Yeah,
on.
like
It's really,
such
it's
gag
bad.
And then
moments in
I
this.
will say the one thing is they immediately start evacuating that ship. Like
the general,
everybody
yes.
off, everybody off, everybody.
Well, okay, wait. Yes, but they're the Marine. They're the military.
Yeah.
They've been tasked with guarding this cargo. The first second something goes wrong, let's get out of here. And knowing that if something goes wrong, the ship is automatically programmed to go right to Earth.
Yeah. And not the sun.
Well, but
just
that's
not just a sun.
The reason they do that is so that when the Xenomorph Queen gets there and they open the hatch, Will Smith can go, "Welcome to Earth," and punch her in the face.
so they get immediately eaten.
yeah, and then spit acid
I will
everywhere.
say. So I do compliment this because it's like, okay, great. Like the problem is out, and everybody runs, and they immediately get, and one gets away, and I was like, okay, that's smart. They got there, but then the other one, and it has haunted me for years, and I didn't remember which one this was in, but I have had nightmares about being in that space shuttle and the alien climbing through the roof of that space shuttle and just eating everyone alive.
I've had nightmares about being in a really bad movie.
Yeah.
Metaphor for crap movie.
Or a TikTok prank. That's
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
What
want
a-
a bucket
being
on
in
my
a
head.
Walmart.
Stop
What
it.
what a grenade throw by the general though.
Yeah.
I
Guy's
mean,
like grenade, hands him one, and he's
Yep.
like,
Tully, he's with the 710 split, man, just bowling it down that alley. Yeah.
Right as the door closes,
Yeah.
too. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like a skadoosh.
And
and then
goes,
it launches it, and he
Yeah.
blows it, and he does this,
it is a little
and
silly.
then you hear the growling of the alien, and then
it's
just he
Gomez
starts
Adams.
bleeding out of his mouth because he gets
It shoots the head,
Yeah.
like the little mouth into his head, and then he reaches up
Oh,
and grabs
gosh.
part of his own brain and
Yes.
looks at it.
Yeah, and then they cut.
Yeah.
And then they cut. I feel like it's the same thing with Predator.
Yeah.
Where they had to like, all right, that's
Certain
enough
amount of
that.
kills had to be
Yeah.
off screen.
And it had to be over.
And then it
Yeah.
cuts back to the cell where there's a Marine like looking in the cell to see like, okay, where are they? And the alien, you see the goo start dripping onto the red button,
Yeah.
and the alien hits the button with its mouth.
Oh,
It uses
this
the little
scene,
mouth,
dude. Yeah.
and you basically watch this guy get burned to death by cold,
Yeah.
and his
Yeah.
hand freezes to the wall, and he can't move the gun. That was a cool kill.
I think it's gonna be hard to keep this episode PG-13 for just describing how people are dying in this movie. I think it's enough.
It gets a little more ridiculous as the movie goes.
Well, yeah,
on.
and then we just need some more of that Josh Whedon lightheartedness.
Well, like
in
the
there.
beginning of the movie, the kills are very alien-esque. Like you get eaten, you get dragged down, things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And then later in the movie, it's like I fell.
Owie! I got a paper cut. I'm screwed.
Yeah. So now it cuts
well-
to the pirate crew trying to get out.
Yeah.
Right, and the best one of the best characters in the whole movie, the Crow bad guy himself, with the world's most like cigarette riddled voice.
What are you talking about?
Is the first guy to die. The captain of the pirate crew is like,
Elegant.
hey,
or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's only dying because he's like sitting there gun collecting, like he's looting in Warzone. Like,
I was
oh,
like,
this gun, and then this gun, and then this one's covered in goo.
No, you know what? It reminded me of like Family. You're all to do with the Family Guy stuff. It reminded me of like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece
he's
of candy.
James Woods.
Yeah, he's James Woods.
The alien, and the alien is Peter, who lured
just
him into
leading
the-
him into a box with a stick and just knocks the stick out. You know, we should just do this next time. Catches him
Where's
every time.
Bugs?
Yeah, he walks
Yeah.
over a grate on the floor with like a goo covered gun. He's like looking at it, and then hand through the grate,
Yeah.
and he gets pulled
But
in.
like, it's like, dude, you know what's happening. What goo producing human is going? Oh, it's sticky.
Hey.
Run.
You don't want to know.
No, sorry.
You don't want to
Sorry,
know.
man. I'm sorry. I hope you get that checked out. Honestly.
I think it's a natural thing.
And then they
smell
they
it.
figure out like, oh, we should ask like Sigourney Weaver to help us because she escapes her cell because
Yeah.
she can like feel that they're out.
Yeah.
No, they come across her.
Yeah. No. Yeah,
No,
the
but she
aliens-
escapes her cell first because the aliens are trying to
Right.
break into her cell.
trying
So
to
she
get to her,
punches
yeah.
through a metal wall.
The panel.
Good
She punches
thing
through
they
a
keep
panel
building
Yeah.
things worth
Again,
a
and
metal.
Metal
uses
wall.
and uses her acid blood to
Right.
short circuit the
And open the
wires
door.
that open the back door.
There's a back. I didn't see the back.
There's like
door
a
to the
side
cell.
door,
Did I
yeah.
miss the back
Yeah, you
door
know,
to
it's
the
convenient.
cell? There's
It's convenient.
There's two doors. To the
We're just
cell.
gonna punch the wall open, pour some acid blood, and get out through this door that you can't tell is there.
Because I think they kept alluding because when she took a dumbbell to the face and she like it just barely like made her like twitch her head.
She was
a
like,
little.
ow.
I think they were like trying to like okay.
Unlike in Problem Child, where the guy launches the dumbbell and throws him off the back of the
Throws him
thing. Yeah,
30
it's
feet off
awesome.
the-
Best part of that
off the
movie.
they get the
catwalk.
Wilhelm scream.
yeah, or the Goofy stream that. Anyways, which this movie would have done great if there
Well, then-
was just a Goofy stream.
She walks up to the pirate crew,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
the worst line in the entire movie, who do I have to fuck to get off of this ship? And it's like,
Jeez,
what is
dude.
going on
No one.
with
We're-
these characters?
You have to kill aliens. That's
Yeah.
what you have to
What
do.
is wrong with this Sigourney Weaver? What happened to Ripley?
You have to do Jedi Master Dickless over there.
Yeah.
that's how you get off this ship.
Young Padawan. Oh, shit.
So
This
then,
is third time this week.
then it cuts to the cripple guy in the wheelchair,
Oh man.
and he is like building a gun from parts of his wheelchair.
Barrel shotgun rocket
And there's an
launcher.
alien above him, and he's like, "I'll put holes in you." And he shoots one, but it bleeds and it starts burning him.
That bleeds on like behind his ear.
Yeah,
Ugh.
and he screams, and you think he's gonna get killed because it goes to a POV shot of an alien.
Yeah.
And then later on, they open a door, and they find him, and they're like, "Ah!" it's like a goofy horror
Well,
movie.
like, so that guy Dominic Pignon is like super French and has a super heavy French accent. There were a couple times in this movie where like I think they said, okay, say this line, and then they're like, no, say it again. Just like it's these words. Like
Do
these
it
syllables.
better.
Do it, yeah.
Do it less
again
French.
because he was like call like I believe in you or something like that, and it's so heavy and still it's like that's not your language. Like it would have been great if he just spoke French and
subtitled
everyone
it.
yeah,
Just
and everyone
subtitle.
just understood what he was saying. It would have been hilarious, Josh Whedon, as a comedic
Dude,
thing.
all he did was write it.
Yeah.
He didn't direct it.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's like let that dude just speak
Okay,
French. and be
French
funny.
director.
Yeah. It would have been hilarious if like only
we'll get
one
into this
person
guy's thoughts.
like only one person understood what he was saying, and then the alien also understood.
Winona Ryder is like, "We have to kill Ripley," and they're
Yeah.
like, "Hell no, she can help us. Like,
Yeah.
we're not gonna kill Ripley.
Dude, and these lines that she delivers, oh, they're so bad.
We gotta kill her."
No, she's screaming like she's a child, and she didn't get her way.
Yeah, she
She's
is.
like-
Yeah.
We can't trust her.
Yeah.
No.
What's wrong with this girl?
Well, she's an android. Is what.
Well, you don't
find
know that
You
yet.
find that
Yes.
out later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but even still, it's like she's not acting like any of the other androids.
And I think the thing there is that she's a second generation
She's
an
new.
android built by androids.
Yeah.
So it's like she's special.
They gave her
and
like human
wonderful.
emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they made her a whiny bitch ass child. And basically she's the wet noodle of this movie.
Is she? You felt like she was the one that's like this isn't fitting the role. She's not.
And I don't know if it was her fault or not. It may have been direction, but she's definitely pulling me out of these scenes at times where I'm like, dude, wow, that was bad.
Dude, well, like one of the moments they had was like, okay, how are we getting off the ship? Oh, you're an android, great. And so like you can communicate with the
Well, let's
computer.
back up. The way that we figure
Okay,
out
where do you
she's
wanna
an
get there?
android is the big
Oh
scene
yeah,
where
we jumped over a lot.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to.
so they get the scientist and the space marine who's played by Tuco from Breaking Bad
go.
to help
he
them.
jumps ship and he starts helping the pirates.
Yeah, and so they take the scientist with them because he wants to leave, and so they get to the bottom because they have to go to the bottom of the ship and then take the freight elevator to the dock.
Yeah.
So they get to the bottom, and the aliens have flooded the bottom of the ship by bursting the cooling tanks.
Yeah.
So apparently, like, these aliens learned things.
Really fast.
Like, maybe they have Ripley's brain. I don't know. But they have to swim, and the girl pirate is freaked out because, like, it doesn't look like she can swim very well, I guess is what
it doesn't
they're...
look like any of them can swim very well.
Except for the dude who's crawling with the cripple on his
Christy?
back
Yeah,
because he
Christy.
can't have the chair because he has to ditch the chair.
Yeah.
And so they're going through, and it
Yeah,
reminds
it'd
me
be
of
tough to
this.
swim with that.
I'd
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah,
Straight to the bottom.
yeah.
It would have been hilarious though. If he had,
It
like,
wouldn't be as hard to swim. It would be harder to get up the freight ladder.
That too.
that would have been the
with the
one.
chick.
It would have been so funny though if that chair was like
Joe
it was
Swanson
like
could do it.
the everything chair.
Yeah, like it
if-
turned into a jetpack. And
Yeah, if you could like, it could just like, suddenly turn into like
Turn into
little
flippers.
propellers.
It's
and
that
flippers.
part was funny where they're
It'd
like,
be
it's
funny if
time
it
to
was
get
just
rid of the
flippers.
chair.
Little feet come out the back.
It was funny though when they're telling him like it's time to get rid of the chair, and he's like, I know.
Yeah.
He's like doing like 360s of the chair.
Bye. Love you.
So they put him on Christie's back, and they're crawling through the bottom, and the xenomorphs come in, and it reminds me of the
Yeah.
scene in Jurassic Park, but not as good, where they fight the raptors in the kitchen because
Oh, okay.
But the way the aliens
It's the
move
best scene of the whole movie.
is like the Godzilla children in Godzilla 2000.
Oh yeah.
It's not good.
But Ron Perlman fires a missile and kills one of them. And it's cool because when he does that, it's green. It's like a big
Yeah.
vat of acid that
Yeah.
spreads throughout the water.
And maybe that's how it didn't get through because it looked like that acid was at least diluting it. The
Yeah,
water was
yeah.
diluting it. Maybe that's how they got through. It didn't burn through the rest of the shit.
Maybe.
You're canceling the pH.
Yeah.
Very
Just
basic.
enough. Just enough.
So they crawl through, and the one girl gets pulled, and she drowns because she
Yeah.
gets pulled in by the. And so they get to the freight elevator, and it's a nest. It's the
It's
face
a trap.
huggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they set a
They
trap.
literally set a trap.
Of face huggers.
Yeah, because there's like they build a membrane that they're trying to bust
Oh,
through,
so
bust
terrifying.
through, and then finally they bust through
No,
this
Sigourney-
membrane. Let's see. I would like to go back now, thinking about this and time
How long?
how long they're supposed to be underwater, swimming with a lot of crap on them,
Freaking out.
fighting xenomorphs, and then they bust through this stuff. They would have drowned like 15 times over.
Well,
boots on. too.
Sigourney Weaver
Like,
is the one who breaks through the
Yeah.
membrane. She like separates it so they can
Yeah.
all breathe. But once they get out, it's the face hugger eggs start hatching
everywhere. Yeah.
and one latches onto Sigourney Weaver's face, and they all dive back under the water.
Because
Yeah.
I totally remember that from the first two, when you get a face hugger on your face, if you just like grab hold of it and like pull and pull,
Yeah.
that you could just like, get it off.
Stop.
Well,
Yeah,
Sigourney
like,
Weaver
Just
is trying to.
stop it. Knock it off.
Ripley's
Yeah.
trying to talk to it, like where are the other drugs going?
Tell me where your
Where are
mother
the kids,
is.
Harvey?
In all the other movies, when you like try to grab at it, the tail around your neck like
Yeah.
tighten down,
Yeah.
like
gosh,
the
dude.
tighter, the harder you pulled, the tighter it got.
Yeah.
She struggles for a while,
Yeah.
and she has
But she
human.
gets out of
She
it.
has superhuman
And she
strength
has,
too.
that was also strange too. I was like, wait, she has super strength. Why is she struggling so much?
Well,
with
one of
that?
the cooler scenes is the Christie guy is like Deadshot. So he uses the grenades to shoot them like off beams in the freight elevator to
Yeah.
redirect them and blow up all the
Which
eggs.
he showed that skill earlier.
Yeah, he showed the skill
shooting
early in the movie
somebody.
when they get stopped by
Yeah.
the cops. He shoots up
Ricocheting.
and hits to
Yeah,
him.
because Winona gets caught in Ripley's cell, and they're gonna kill all of them because
Yeah.
they brought a terrorist on board.
Makes
What?
sense.
Because they tried to kill your illegal. How's she a terrorist for killing your illegal cloning experiment?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, so yeah, and then they have that's also one of the scenes that so they're all fighting this thing. The Christie has, what's his name on the back, the French,
The Frenchman on his back.
on his back, climbing this ladder, trying to shoot the alien,
But his gun jams.
Gun
and
jams.
he can't shoot the alien.
And then we get Ron Perlman
doing his ab routine.
Yeah.
Where he,
Yeah.
well, first the alien spits in the guy carrying him.
Yeah.
He spits in his face so he can't see.
Yeah. And
So
it's
he can't shoot the alien because
burning
he can't
half
see
his
him.
face.
And they fall, and the guy on his back grabs the ladder,
Yeah. And so
And-
then they switch like Mario Kart Duo.
like Mario Kart
Yeah.
Double Dash.
And now you got a guy whose legs don't work holding on to this ladder. I feel so bad for this guy.
And-
You gotta imagine
Well,
he's doing
and
all
Ron-
upper body though.
well, and Ron-
yeah,
you're
for
not,
sure.
like-
He's
yeah.
strong as hell.
Like I
but
said,
still, he's
Jo-
got a dude on his back.
Joe
Yeah.
Swanson could have done it.
Good song.
Joe Swanson would have fought the alien barehanded. Ron Perlman kills the alien, but his claw is wrapped around Christie's foot,
Yeah.
so it's weighing them down.
Yeah.
And he just starts undoing the backpack
Which
that's
I was
holding
like,
them.
I know it's weighing him down, but it's like it's dead, and it's like,
Well,
what?
yeah, that's exactly where I was gonna say.
But
yeah,
regardless, he falls into water.
yeah, just hey,
Just-
and
bud,
it's
get him.
only like 10 feet.
Just
it's
swim
not that
out
high.
of the water.
And then climb up.
the ladder.
Like, just get the because the xenomorph's still holding on to his foot. So just
Kick.
like
laces. This guy hasn't tied his shoes in years. He's forgotten how.
or just
take his hand
just
off.
this,
Like,
just-
he's
There's showers. Showers are rare in
got
space.
that knife. Like,
Yeah, just hey, maybe just cut
just
it.
pry
off
it
a little
off.
bit,
Just
little
pry
bit.
it off. You don't want us to cut him
but
because you don't get
that was the most
acid.
confusing
Hey,
death in the
hey,
movie to me because
ungrip your toes and
Yes.
just let it
That's right.
ungrip. Just ungrip.
that was the most confusing death in the movie to me because he shouldn't have died.
no.
Right.
Fell 20
There's
feet
no
into
more
water,
xenomorphs.
and there's no more xenomorphs.
It's like he got burned in the face and he gave up.
Yeah.
It's just like
He's
oh,
like, ow,
my
my
mom-
ankle.
Maybe
my
he fell
face.
into the water and the alien exploded. and
Maybe. He's
it was,
like,
it was in acid.
my modeling career's over. I'm gonna be like Seal now.
What am I gonna? Yeah, he's still damn famous. Of course,
I'll look like Mike
Everything.
Tyson. Except that's a tattoo.
Yeah, that's just what he couldn't live
Please
with.
don't
Was
kill
that
me,
his
Iron
face
Man.
was slightly burned?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude. Like,
It'll be a cool
hang in
story.
there. Come on.
And it's really funny too how like that guy couldn't shoot the alien, but he could bounce grenades off of things and
Yeah.
He
like,
couldn't see.
yeah.
I guess that's
Yes.
it's like
Again,
a special power that
But
he
like,
has.
also,
Alien's
but
like 7
he
feet
was
tall.
he was climbing the ladder at first, so he couldn't shoot because he had his hands on the ladder.
yeah.
Yeah, but still.
But Ron Perlman's whole like upside down fire, and he's the worst shot.
Yeah,
in the,
he
in
But
is.
he gets it right
the
between
hole.
the eyes.
Yeah, out of luck, dude.
Ah, well.
Because the aliens
Better
are
be
like,
lucky than good.
It's swaying back and forth, and it's just it was like a 50-50 chance. It's just like, oh, I went right and he went right.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say
then,
you fire both guns at the same time. He can't sway away. on that one.
you can't sway too far there, bud.
But anyway, they get to the top where the door they need to go out is, and the scientist he's like, "Father, open the door," and he opens it, and he's like, "I need a weapon to get."
No, he can't. He can't break the glass.
right.
He's
He's
like,
like,
I
I
can't
need
break it. I need a weapon.
Yeah.
So she gets Winona Ryder's character
Winona.
gives him a pistol.
Call, yeah.
which is like the weirdest name.
Yeah, her name's Call. All right.
Stupid.
Call.
Gives him her gun, and then he immediately turns on them.
You
Yeah.
really are too trusting, and shoots her right in the chest.
Which I don't understand what his plan was.
To let the aliens get to Earth.
I guess.
I mean, what's the plan there?
But, like,
It's
he's-
hey, we're gonna let
he's-
him kill air.
He's with the people. Like he wants to get out too.
He's with
and
the
he's
only
with
people.
the people who could keep him alive.
He's with the only people.
to
Everybody
get out.
else is gone.
Everyone else is done.
Everyone's else.
But before we move on
Everyone
from this,
else. Everyone else.
the production of this underwater
that was cool.
scene is insane.
Yeah.
It is
They
cool.
they built this huge set on a sound stage, basically an entire sound stage.
Wow.
And then they I think it took like I want to say it was days to fill it with water.
Yeah.
And then they were only supposed to film for like 10 days or something like that, and it turned into like 2 weeks or 4 weeks of filming.
Dude, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of these sets you're underwater and you can't just surface.
You can't just come up.
So
That would
your
freak me out.
only
No.
your only lifeline is
Guys,
the
rebreather.
divers
Yeah, slightly off camera.
with hookah rigs that you know can give you your regulator and let you breathe. And Winona Ryder almost had to leave the movie, like back out of the movie, because she had a near death experience when she was like 12 years old, where she almost drowned.
Yeah, it's scary.
And she carried that with her,
Yeah.
obviously. but I guess she was able to overcome it, which that's one strong ass lady.
Kudos.
dude. To keep
If you're
going.
coming over if you're coming over that, if you're overcoming that.
But
Overcoming.
but getting back to Winona Ryder's character,
But and I wasn't done. They
sorry.
they got the water, and it didn't look like, it was just clear. So they added milk to the water to give it that look,
Like that glossy-
that it had, and just insanity. Like filming for like 4 weeks underwater, and then imagine you have like 10 people in the shot.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their regulars in. You got to get set, ready to go, and then pull the things, and now you have to wait for the bubbles to leave,
Oh, wow.
and then
swim.
film, and you can't see. Like you're underwater. It's
got-
like you can see clear what you're doing. So
You got milk in your eyes
it's
now.
milk in your eyes. It's just crazy that they did
Because
that.
it's supposed to be coolant. It's not supposed to be water.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like engine coolant that's
Oh,
flooding
that makes
the
sense.
base.
just insane. Like
Dude,
the whole thing.
Yeah, any of those underwater scenes, I couldn't do. I actually just watched one of those making Harry Potter, the fourth one.
Oh, yeah, the
and they spent
Goblet
like
of Fire.
yeah, they spent the same thing. They spent like 2 weeks underwater, and
For
it was
that
just
trial?
it was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
for everyone. And I mean, kudos
And it's
to
Tuesday, isn't it?
Tuesday.
What great movies.
Yeah,
Great
movies.
But anyway, Winona Ryder's character, Call, gets shot in the chest and falls into the water. And so he turns on him and tells father to lock them in.
Yeah.
Like, don't open the door, override.
Her character,
And they're stuck. And then all of a sudden the door opens
yeah,
and Winona Ryder's standing there
And
like,
it's Call.
hey.
Yeah.
yeah. No, it
made no sense at all.
She gets shot, falls back in the water, and just
How'd she get
But Christy, who just like dove in the water,
body's gone.
he was like,
he's
I'm
not there.
dead, bro.
Yeah.
I just
You
killed myself.
seen my face?
He was like, and I cut this and I stabbed myself.
We're done.
Why'd you do that? I was just depressed.
I don't want to live this life no more.
I don't want
to
live this life.
Oh man.
But she lets him out, and then Ripley's like, how did this work? And Ripley's like, you're a robot. And she's like, what?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. And the Space Marine is all about it. He's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, you're an android built by androids. They
Yeah.
were all recalled. I never
What do
thought
they
I'd
call?
get
He's
to
like
see
calls him
one.
like an autoton or
Yeah, an
something. Like that.
automaton.
Yeah,
Just something like that.
Yeah. He's super excited to meet
Yeah.
one. He's like, I never.
Ron
thought in my
Perlman
life-
wanted to kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's kill
He's
everything.
like, too bad. I'm glad I didn't fuck you.
Oh
and
god, dude. Yeah.
the French guy's like you've never fucked a robot before.
Wow, dude.
Just burns the shit out of him.
It's just some of the lines where you're just like, bro, that's even off color for a
Anyway.
pirate, dude. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
they have to go into
why?
the chapel, which it's funny that it's called Father.
I got that.
And she has to go into the chapel to override the system.
Yeah, to hack into the system.
which brings some of the best scene. Okay, there's
No,
it's-
my favorite scene is right after she's done overriding the system. So her and Sigourney Weaver Ripley have a moment about how
It's weird,
she
like, touching
hates
her face.
Well, she hates like what she is. She's like, I hate
Right.
being a robot. Please don't make me do that. And has it covered with like one of those band-aids, like when you get a flu shot. It's like,
Yeah.
here's a band-aid.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, they have to first disconnect the digital Holy Bible. Which
Yeah.
did you notice that? It's like that thick
Yeah.
too. It's not like iPad size or something like that. It's a Bible
So she can
with an
hack
auxiliary cord stuck into
So
it.
she can hack the system.
yeah,
Because
And-
he's trying to get to the ship and leave them there.
Yeah.
So she overrides the system, and it's funny because the guy's like, "Father, open the door."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Father."
Yeah.
Winona
Father,
Ryder's
help.
character's like, "Father's dead."
Yeah.
And Sigourney and Ripley's character is like, "You got a mean streak in you."
yeah.
But
And then
she
she
helps her
reports.
like come to grip with.
Well, no, she reports. She's like, all aliens, please
Oh,
report to level
one.
1. And that guy's
Yeah.
like, he buys it. He's like, huh.
Yeah.
Like, they
They're
know
listening.
where I am.
They
They're
understand
listening.
English.
Yeah. And runs.
And so they leave and they're walking back to the ship, and they find a room that has the number 7, and
Oh,
Ripley's
this
number is 8.
scene,
This is
dude.
the best scene in the whole movie, in my
It
opinion.
was so creepy.
And
dude.
she goes in and she finds the other failed experiments. Like there's like a baby looking one that has like the xenomorph head and like a human body.
Yeah, this was like really early on in the movie.
No, this is
It's pretty close to the end.
this is
though.
right
Is
here
it?
after
Yeah.
she overrides it. Yeah.
It's about.
Is it then?
Yeah, because they're
There's
like, we
about-
don't have time for a
I don't know
sightseeing
why I'm
mission.
flipping it. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no,
Yeah.
this is before they do the water scene.
Yeah.
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 Because
okay.
Christy's there. But anyway, it's my favorite scene in the whole movie because she finds all of these failed experiments. Because this is where Ripley like comes to terms with what she is,
What? Yeah. Which
and
is
that's how she helps Winona Ryder's character do it later in the movie.
yeah.
But they go to the back where number 7 is,
Yeah.
and it's basically a Ripley that has like a giant xenomorph arm.
It's like
and like
the closest they could get.
it's right before they perfected
Figured
it
it out. Yeah.
and she's literally going, "Kill me."
Yeah. Oh, dude,
Kill
no,
me.
it gives me nightmares still thinking about it.
And
It's like,
and the first one that finds her is Call, and Ripley finds her, and Call walks in with a flamethrower
Yes.
and just like hands it to Ripley, like,
you
your
what to
move,
do.
Chief.
Now,
Yeah.
you couldn't just like shoot him in the head.
Why did you have to use the flamethrower?
Yeah, why have to light us all
Kill
on
it with
fire?
fire.
Why?
Kill
Yeah.
it with fire.
And like I read in the comments that this is a throwback to the first one.
It's
Yeah,
true. They
it
do
is.
kill them all with fire.
Throwback,
It
but
is.
I was like, dude, that's not a mercy kill because that's what they kept calling it, a mercy kill. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
not mercy,
No,
bro.
Yeah,
that's-
don't light me on fire.
that's
For
like-
That's
mercy.
incineration.
That's a long time of suffering before it takes you, I guess, and hope it takes you. 'cause
Yeah.
I can't imagine life after that. But and it wasn't even going to be alive that much longer.
No.
Yeah.
By that time, they knew they had like 3 hours
Right.
before it was going to instantly crash into Earth
Right.
or be brought to Earth, and then they
Well, they're
eventually
going
decide.
to explode it,
Yeah.
and then they find out when she hacks into the system that there's
She altered course.
too much power has been used.
Yeah.
They can't explode it.
Yeah.
So now they have to crash it so that everyone will die and everything will die.
And wherever that thing crashed into will die too.
Right,
Like I didn't think it
exactly.
was like, we're not thinking about the other consequence here. Like,
Right.
is the moon still out of place? Like, is that not a thing
Yeah,
anymore?
who knows?
Like, I guess they needed to be sure. Like, there's oxygen and fire,
Yeah.
and it was going to really explode.
And Ron Perlman's character has a good line there where he's like, "What are you mad about?" And he's like, "It's a waste of ammo."
oh yeah, with the fire that just killed everything. Thanks, Josh.
But that's
there's
a cool
There's that Josh Whedon.
that's
humor
like-
in there.
Like that's like what they were going for in that movie, like that heartfelt, like
Yeah.
you spent your whole life trying to kill these things and they just brought you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. And the end of it is it's hard. It's fun, and I think we should get to that quicker with the.
Yeah.
With the super xenomorph, like I'm not
Well,
sure what
you
Yeah,
to
so
guess
they-
describe
it's
this
the
thing.
infant.
Yeah, so they're getting to the
infant
ship.
xeno.
Yeah.
So they're
Okay.
getting to the ship. Everybody else gets to the ship.
Yeah.
And Ripley starts doing like that weird like
sniffing
and like going onto the floor and like all that.
Undulating,
And
a
she's
lot of
like she's
movement.
like it's the queen. She's in pain and the floor opens up and she falls into the queen. Basically, she's like on the queen, and
Yeah.
the queen like pulls her in. And the queen, the guy is now what they do in the other Alien movies, where the queen, basically what the Flood host does in Halo, where
Yeah.
it talks through dead people,
Yes.
and makes the
Super
first
creepy,
scientist
dude.
the hive voice, and she's like, "It is a human birth, your gift to the queen," or something like that. And he sounds like Arnim Zola from the Civil War movie.
Wait, from the Civil War movie.
From
which one?
Captain America.
America.
Oh,
Civil
okay,
War.
yes,
He
yeah,
sounds like
okay,
Arnim Zola.
yeah.
Cut off one head, 2 more shall take its
Yeah.
place. But
good.
it gives birth to basically a xenomorph head with a human face and
Yeah.
like human eyes. Kind of looks like Abomination from
It's
the Hulk.
fucking stupid looking. That's what
And-
it is.
Tell me how you really
it
feel,
has
though.
tits.
Yeah,
Tell me
that's
how
true.
you really
Like,
feel.
why does it have saggy old lady tits? And apparently, this French director wanted to give it genitalia. He was
Of
like
course he did.
super
Oh.
insistent, and he wanted it to have both male and female human genitalia.
It's weird.
And so they put it on there,
Okay.
and then
They were like, nope.
even he in post production was like, "It's too much."
Yeah,
Like,
never mind.
no shit.
Just give it a tail.
So
I'll
they
just
give it a
cleaned it off.
Yeah,
They gave it a
with,
tail.
with
Yeah.
CG,
Yeah,
but
they
it's
gave
like,
it a tail.
you guys are so stupid. Like, what is wrong with you?
Jeez,
And the
dude.
whole movie, there's this weird lesbian tension between
Yeah.
Winona Ryder
And
and,
the Queen.
and Sigourney Weaver.
And the queen.
Yeah, and then
yeah.
so then
The
this infant is born
and it
and
turns
it
on the
kills
queen.
the queen in one swipe.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, Sigourney Weaver, mommy.
Yeah.
Mommy.
It thinks you're its mother.
And when it's evil, it turns and it's just dark, huge circles.
Yeah.
But when they want you to care for it, you can see the eyes
little
in
baby
there,
eyes,
and it's like it still looks terrifying as shit.
Kill it with fire.
What am I supposed to feed that thing?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to- exactly. Where's it going to
Yeah.
sleep?
Yeah, that thing just gave birth to it and swiped its face off.
What
Yeah.
am I doing? It's not.
So,
yeah. Dude,
this whole
Well,
time-
they finally like run.
This whole time,
Yeah.
the
Get on the
crew's in
ship.
the ship, and none of them can fly it because
that's
the
right.
2 pilots are dead.
yeah. Nobody else has the manual.
And so
for it,
Sigourney
yeah.
Weaver sits in the seat, and they're like, "You can fly this thing." She's like, "This hunk of junk's older than I
Yeah, yeah.
am." And they're like, "Call, go close the airlock
Yeah.
because the airlock's stuck."
Yeah.
So she's trying. She's like, "Come on, we don't have all day." And she closes the airlock, and you hear the hissing, and you turn around, and the infant is in the ship.
Lo and behold, baby's back.
And Sigourney Weaver's like, she has like that moment, like that Sixth Sense moment, like I
Yeah.
can feel this,
my baby.
and it runs back.
This
to,
terribleness is not over.
and it runs back to save. Well, first the Space Marine goes in
yeah.
because it
Tuco.
can't reach.
Tuco Salamanca.
It can't reach Sigourney Weaver with its long Jack Skeleton fingers,
Jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
and then it kills Tuco and it eats it. Like it's like eating
That's right.
Tuco.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
That's what you
And-
feed it.
yeah, and
you feed it
That's
Tuco
what you feed it. You gotta
Salamanca.
feed
And
it
that's-
drug lords.
You got to feed it the blue meth. And that's when Ripley comes in and notices, like, oh, this thing's still evil. Like, this thing's a killing machine.
Yeah.
Even though it looks like a
baby.
Yeah, like an
It looks
infant.
horrible.
Yeah.
It's like the weirdest Muppet.
So what happens is she sees a little window because they're flying towards Earth now. So
Yeah.
she sees the little window and it had cut her, like when it grabbed her.
Yeah.
And so she flicks her blood at the window and a little hole opens and it sucks the alien
This is like one of the most brutal.
right into the airlock, and it just keeps,
Dude.
and the alien's fighting it, like it pulls off the
Yeah.
airlock, and then it gets sucked back.
And it's
into
coming
the-
out of there like a
like a zit.
tube of toothpaste.
Like a tube of toothpaste.
And like then the skin ruptures and like
This is-
everything is pouring out.
Brought to you by Colgate.
And Ripley's like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she's apologizing to it. I was like, I don't know how to feel here. Like I'm just like
It's
the
almost like
humanity. and
it's
then,
almost like they wanted you to root for the alien.
Yeah, it's
Like-
almost like, well, it's just its nature. It didn't ask to be created.
Yeah.
It's just gonna do what it's gonna do. Which
What
is,
have I done?
why?
It made me think. It made me think of the Anakin scene after he pushes Mace Windu out the window
that's
in Revenge
right,
of the
yeah.
Sith, and he drops to his knees and he's like, "What have I done?" That's what this reminded me of. And then to end the movie, they get to Earth. They pull up the ship. So the alien,
Yeah.
the
Alien
alien
ship.
atomic bomb.
When you get free, you finally have your homosexual kiss, and it's between Ron Perlman and the cripple guy, not between Sigourney Weaver and
That's what I'm saying, is they-
Winona Ryder.
They've worked together really closely.
Apparently.
in that movie that I was trying to find, which is like.
Yeah, they do.
It was like City of Lost Dreams. Yeah, they do. Yeah, no. But like, they're both. Ron Perlman
Apollo.
speaks. He speaks fluent French in that movie. It's a French movie, and he speaks fluent French. I don't know if he is French. I don't look that up, but yeah. So they're close. They're close people. I am sure that was Ron Perlman's like idea. It was like he's
I'm
like,
gonna kiss him.
We're supposed to high five. I'm gonna kiss him. I'm gonna put it right on there, and they're gonna keep that
I'm gonna
take.
kiss
'cause
you
that's how
right on
this
the mouth,
works.
Kenny
Yeah.
Rogers.
I'm gonna kiss him with my tongue.
But then they just stare out the window.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's the end of the movie. Like she literally goes, "What do we do now?" And
I don't know.
And she's like, "I don't know."
I'm a stranger here too.
Credits.
Yep,
And you're just,
Nailed it.
Okay, thanks, movie.
Nailed it,
Great.
buddy.
All right, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna go find a cabin.
This was their hope to like
Woods.
revive the franchise too, and it didn't.
This was it. So this was the big play.
I think Prometheus did a decent job of that.
Prometheus is fun, and it's really interesting because it goes through like the evolution of the xenomorphs and like where they start and how we get to that. But then
Alien Resurrection is the definition of good idea, terrible execution.
Well, I really feel like I would have liked to have seen what the original script from Whedon was.
Yeah,
Because
before
the
it got out.
idea is cool.
Yeah.
Like these rogue scientists that want to recreate the xenomorph, and you create this hybrid. Like that's a
Yeah.
cool idea for a movie.
Yeah, man. All right, okay. So would you recommend watch it?
If you want to laugh,
Yeah, if you want a good laugh.
It's
there are worse movies. It's not like the worst movie ever, but
It's the worst
not
Alien
good. It's not good at
Not
all.
the worst movie. But
Like for
not-
instance, the other night I was watching something on Max, and it came up with like Leaving Soon, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
first movie right there was Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I was like, bye.
See ya.
Yeah, like
Don't let the door hit you in the butt
Just
on the
that,
way out.
like Tully in the ship.
yeah,
Just like,
exactly. Like as it blows up
as it
into
just-
infinity.
just
Pull its brain out.
destroys.
But that movie's so like
That movie's
you have
laughably
to
good.
you have to watch this movie with a sense of humor because it makes it actually fun to watch.
Man, yeah.
But if you try to watch it as part of like
Nah.
alien lore,
Yeah.
it is terrible.
Yeah.
And dude, the infant is just so
Gross.
bad.
It's so
gross.
this is the Toy Story 2. Of this.
No, wait, Toy Story 2 is okay.
Exactly.
Dimitri Martin told me so.
Toy Story 2 is
Toy Story 2
okay.
is okay. I like all the Toy Stories.
I can't say I don't.
Yeah,
I
I like
yeah,
them.
I
Just
like them
do.
all. Just
Man.
do.
It's
true.
So you wouldn't recommend it either, Trey? Would you say just watch
it's
it?
bad.
Watch it with fun.
Yeah.
It's
Watch it with
bad.
fun.
Know that.
Yeah, don't go into it with high. If you go into it with your expectations on the floor, it's going to be okay.
You know what? Do a drinking game. Every time Sigourney starts sniffing people,
You'll die.
Take a sip.
You'll die.
I think you'll be all right with sniffing.
Yeah.
You only
That's
true.
true.
Take like 3 or 4 drinks the
Yeah.
whole movie, but you'll feel a nice buzz by the end.
I mean, enjoy the
One
movie a
more
little
big
more.
one right at the end,
Yeah.
just to get you.
Just, I
Exactly.
mean, the whole time she's being absorbed by the queen
Yeah.
in that,
Now,
in that scene.
if you said like every
You gotta
time
finish
you're
your
like
drink.
what, then you
Yeah.
die.
Every time you're like, what the?
Yeah, every time you get confused, where you're like,
Hold
what?
on.
Yeah.
What?
Do what now?
Take another shot. Yeah.
Why did she just say fuck?
Instead of fork?
Fork.
Yeah, why is she? Yeah,
Sport.
Yeah.
why when she comes with the world's most random? Who do I have to fuck to get
Yeah.
off of this ship?
That hurt.
It's like
seeing that scene.
what?
Yeah.
Her say that
Sigourney
line.
Weaver is like a legend, and that was just terrible.
That was
You're
weird.
killing it with fire.
Okay, man. Well, anyways, as
Thanks
always,
for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Check us out on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Please like and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell on YouTube. Check out the cup that Matt's got. That's from our Shopify account, and
And our
it's quality craftsmanship on that thing. It's a nice little pint glass.
You could put some beer, sodas,
Oh, whatever you
whatever you want to
Keep
drink.
whatever you want. Yeah, just keep cool.
But yeah, definitely check us out. Like, please comment. Give us your thoughts, your feedback, your ideas, and we take everything to heart. We listen. We want to be a part of this. We want you guys to be a part of this as much as we are.
yeah,
Until next time, we may have some special guests in the future. We'll see. We've got some plans, some things working out.
Yes.
Hopefully they can happen pretty soon here. But thanks for listening. Till next time,
I'm Matt.
Trey.
and I'm Tyler Cowabunga.